Vanakkam, Namaste, and blessings to everyone. This is Dr. Bhairavi Balasubramaniam, PhD, the Sky Priestess. So, here's a little bit of prep for the upcoming eclipse. It's going to be on the 15th for those of you in North and South America. It's going to be the 16th for those of you in Asia and Australia. But basically, this eclipse comes at just about the same time as Valentine's Day does. So, it's going to have a big influence on your V-Day celebrations, as in Valentine's Day, not the other one. But basically, what we see here is a solar eclipse or new moon in Aquarius that is conjunct Mercury and Pluto. We see Venus and Nessus conjunct in Pisces. We see Mars and the Great Attractor and Vesta all in Sagittarius together, squaring Neptune. And these alignments give us the opportunity to really go far deeper than one might normally consider appropriate on Valentine's Day, but they give us an opportunity to really dig deep. Now, the actual degree of the eclipse is 27 degrees Aquarius, and it basically makes an alignment to the galactic center. It sextiles the galactic center, so which is at 27 degrees Sagittarius. So if you have placements near 27 degrees Cancer, what you're going to be seeing is a very powerful activation of your chart by way of a yod or a finger of fate. And in those cases, things are just going to flow. They're going to flow uncontrollably, and go with the flow, observe the flow, but try not to get caught up in it. It will take you where you need to go as long as you are willing to flow with the flow. So that is especially for those who have these placements at 27 degrees Cancer. Now, it's been interesting. In the build up to the eclipse, I was looking through my Facebook feed today and went, oh God, why did I look? Some bizarre things flying around, such as a video by Science Dumb on the causes of tonsil stones, and they had to be as graphic as possible. And I was like, why did I have to see that before breakfast? But it comes back to what this eclipse is actually about, and it's about Aquarius. Now, Aquarius rules over friendship networks, over altruistic endeavors, over social media, over electronics and technology, and it also deals with that cutting edge, that blade that is needed to break through into a new level of consciousness. Very often when people talk about the Aquarian age, they are referring to a concept of greater harmony and access to other frequencies. To be honest, that is actually more Piscean. And if we look at the time where the concepts of the age of Aquarius and the free love movement got popularized, they were actually deeply Piscean. So the very concept itself got popularized in an age that was dominated by Pisces. But anyway, if we were to look at Aquarius in and of itself, some of the worst examples of Aquarian excesses of power, for example, would be, for those of you who remember those times, Atlantis. Otherwise, it would be in more recent history, the Manhattan Project. It's the revolution in technology that then, when divorced from emotion, brings us to situations where we can exercise great power over the stage of this planet and the people in it. And the question is, should we really do so? So with this eclipse in Aquarius, we're going to be seeing a lot more evolution in the way we use technology. Now, I watched Terminator 2, and I can say that an unbridled check on that is probably not a good idea either. But it is, for those of you who are seeking to create innovation and change, this is the time for you to set the seeds for whatever discoveries or whatever types of changes you may want to bring in the world. Aquarius is also about your ideology, the way you think about your ideas in the world. And here we also see the opportunity for many old thought forms and constructs to be broken down. And there are two ways to break down constructs. One is at an emotional level. You see that the construct or the way you see the world no longer resonates. It takes work to work at the level of emotions. A lot of people choose to not go into the emotions by insulating themselves with a layer of pseudo-logic or pseudo-rhetoric. The other way of doing it is to actually look at the way in which you have conceptualized a particular ideology or way of seeing the world, and to question that, to question the constructs of the mind that give you the perspective of the world that you do. And that's what I've been doing in my own way by raising the discussion on race, memory, trauma, and culture, which has triggered a lot of people, but it's also empowered even more because it forces the person to look at the lens through which they see reality and to question if this lens is actually helping them see things in a way that is equitable for all or in a way that insulates them from their own deepest emotions, irrespective of what background they are from. So that's the work I've been doing and my contribution to this, and I feel quite like okay about that, solid. And what I see as well, for me at the very least, is that this Aquarius eclipse and the build up to this eclipse has been asking me and pushing me towards seeing that balance required in activating from the heart and in activating from the mind. And mind based energy can be very powerful, but without heart, it can also be very dangerous. It can go into places where you're not really looking at things from a compassionate perspective, or your compassion is arising from an abstract principle that has nothing to do with people. And sometimes it works, but sometimes taken to an extreme, it really doesn't. And it makes the work of being a human being that much more difficult. So I would say for those of you who are feeling too activated in the mental channels, come back to the heart, come back to the body. Come back to your emotions. Come back to what makes your inner child come alive and express himself, herself, unable to specify or unwilling to specify gender self, whichever way you want to put it, and come back to those things that make you dance, that make you play. Allow yourself the respite from the bombardment of celestial frequencies that's coming your way right now, and allow your body to actually counterbalance that. It's not about escaping one or the other. That actually describes very well the type of polarity we see in the spiritual movement. One side says, forget the mind, and the other one says, transcend the emotions, and both of them just end up losing each other. But that's one of those things that we're also being asked to challenge. Another very interesting feature is that Venus is going to be conjunct Nessus. Now, oh lordy, Nessus is known as the abuser's asteroid. Venus represents the feminine. They're both in Pisces. That represents that long, long, long karmic, ancestral, intergenerational, past life trauma, drama, heritage. So we are going to be asked to really look very, very deeply into what type of codes of trauma we carry surrounding the feminine at this time. And releasing trauma is a lot more than going at the level of the mind. Oh, this is not me. This is who I used to be. It is also an emotional experience. So one needs to actually swim in the waters of memory, connection, ancestry, transcendental flows with spirit of the ethers. One actually has to go to that level to see what the lessons are. You can't logic your way out of it. It doesn't work that way. So there's going to be a great need to open to much more vulnerability during this eclipse, and also, ergo, during Valentine's Day. So, in other words, open thy heart, expose thy wounds, and make sure the person that you're doing it with is not going to hurt you or re-traumatize you, and is actually going to be able to respond in a way that allows those old patterns to actually come to a stop, or at the very least, some part of them to be released. The best stones to work with at this time, in my opinion, are rose quartz, unakite, Unakite. They are very loving, very nurturing. They bring the pure and beautiful energies of the heart back to the center. Rhodochrosite is another one, sounds like a transformer. Rhodocrosite. Rhodochrosite. That's another beautiful stone for you to be working with. In terms of essential oils, and please always look at dosage, contraindications, who should use it, who shouldn't use it, and if you're with pets, whether your pets can actually handle you using or diffusing the smell. I would say myrrh, geranium, vetiver. Those, and if you have it, if you can afford it, rose and jasmine. Those are some of the most feminine, the most powerful, evocative aromas that exist that allow us to connect with the vibration of feminine consciousness. And I must thank my friend Cynthia Green, with whom I actually recorded a wonderful channeled light language message of hers, which I will be uploading very soon, because we were having this conversation a few days ago. Like, I felt this eclipse about like 2 days ago, and I was like, okay, what the heck is the message here? And she helped me connect the dots. So those challenges are there and those opportunities for great healing. What we're also going to be seeing is Mars and Vesta and the Great Attractor. They're all in Sagittarius. And what this means is our connection with the masculine, our connection with force, with direction, with the way we move through the world, with our teachers, with the paths we take, with the roads we make. It is all about the direction we go on our journey. So Mars in Sagittarius is going to be Vesta, the priestess. And these are times where you may even give up certain paths that you have been on, or you may commit or rededicate yourself to certain paths that you choose. Personally, for anyone who is trying to operate at the five-dimensional level, before you sign any contract of service with anything, make sure you know what you really are getting into. The great attractor nearby at 14 degrees Sagittarius is an energy that is deeply polarizing. It pushes, it pulls. It gives you something you like, it gives you something you don't like. And you can't tell which is the message. See, I do not really believe in judging a message on the basis of whether you like it or not. That's kind of like, it's like it's trying to cherry pick a message that your framework of reality has already told you is nice. And this is the time to be very mindful of that practice, especially when you look at what road you want to take, which teacher you want to go to. I mean, you guys know me by now. I don't exactly mince my words. I expect people to hold themselves to a particular standard of conduct, a particular degree of introspection when working with me or listening to my messages. You either will love me or you will decide to go somewhere else. And that's fine. But that's a question that you're going to be asking, with respect to any teacher you go to. Is this really the road for me? And that's a very valuable question to be asking. Just remember, every teacher has an agenda. I have my own agendas. My agenda is speak the truth the way I understand it. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. That's it. And part of my agenda is also to bring back an understanding of spirituality and politics that is actually connecting to a culture, that is actually connecting to global society in ways that are meaningful and honor the custodians of this planet and the consciousness of this planet itself. And that is a very political project in and of itself, but again, not everyone is going to like it, and that is okay. Just remember, we are going to be seeing many differences in opinion emerge as to what is the path of the spiritual, and that is okay. You don't need to waste your time in telling someone why they're right or why they're wrong. You either follow it or you don't. So in that sense, there is a polarizing effect that comes up round about Valentine's Day and the eclipse. Now, the other thing that needs to be mentioned, and this is why the spiritual is being so focused on, is that Mars and the Great Attractor and Vesta are going to be squared Neptune, which in Pisces is ruling over the unknowable, complete experience of the cosmos and all that is. And it's very easy to get caught in pools of illusion and delusion, particularly the ones we feel comfortable with. Sometimes we trap ourselves with illusions of the lack of worth or illusions of, not deserving to be better. And that's a different type of illusion to be broken through. But illusion is presenting itself to you on a silver or gold platter at this time and saying, here, go this way. And you have got to stay discerning. So again, this will certainly come up in the way we connect with the masculine. So keep those discerning antennae up and keep your feet on the ground and keep your heart open and keep your mind sharp. Lots to do. Now, coming back to the actual eclipse, we see that Mercury and Juno are very close to the actual eclipse itself. Mercury is, of course, the communicator. Juno is the energy of the soulmate. As I have written before, in my experience of astrology, Juno is not a necessarily positive aspect. She simply means someone who helps you awaken you to your soul. If you look at the history of Juno and Jupiter, actually, if you look more so at their Greek predecessors, I gotta say, yeah, it's not exactly marriage made. Well, I guess it's made in heaven, but it makes you think about what their understanding of heaven actually was. But there is in Juno, when we see the partner emerge, it's not necessarily this is the one, rather, this is someone who presents lessons to you for your soul to awaken. And given that Neptune Mars aspect going on the skies, you've got to understand that this is a time where you're going to be either connecting to or being connected by people who kind of may look like they fit the bill for what you're looking for. In some cases, you will find that individual will reach out to you, and in other cases it'll be someone very close to it, but not necessarily exactly it, someone who is mirroring a parallel set of lessons. I would actually say this is a good moon for friendships, to basically reach your net out wider and wider. But when making decisions of a romantic nature, think and think again. Just because something looks like it might be your soulmate, understand that soulmates can help you expand through love. They can also help you expand through extreme pain. So that's kind of like the double edge that's going on right now. I mean, of course, there's more to say about this eclipse, but I would say this is a fairly comprehensive overview. It doesn't matter what sign you are. It doesn't matter where Aquarius sits in your house. You will have some variation of this energy expressing itself through your life. And as long as you hold on to these key ideas and these key principles, because somebody once commented on my post saying, well, this is all common sense and it's not really astrology. The way well, which tells you how much they know about astrology, but at the end of the day, astrology gives you very simple lessons. And if you follow these very simple lessons, you don't need to worry too much about the details, unless you want to actually go into it as a specialized field. So, to do a recap, it's time for us to speak our truth and broadcast it to our peers. It's time to decolonize and deconstruct the mind, and also at the same time do so in a way that engages the heart. We may be finding or being contacted by people who, come to us in that soulmate or soul tribe vibration, and you got to be very discerning about that. In terms of whatever roads you choose to take, be it education, be it learning, be it which teacher you learn from, be it what mantra you do, you need to really, really stay discerning at this time. A lot of things will be presenting themselves in a, rose-colored package with a golden bow, but it might be a little turd sitting inside there. You just don't know. You got to look. Venus and Nessus conjunct together also indicate that this is a time where we need to be vulnerable in a way that actually allows that vulnerability to be healed. So you got to be very selective as to the choice of audience. And stay grounded. Choose your experiences wisely. Don't over romanticize anything that's coming in this time period, despite the holiday that's, falling this close to the actual eclipse. It's very hard to read these narratives together in ways that, sound nice. But yeah, that's about it. Take care. Ciao, ciao. Blessings to everyone. And last but not least, the Chicago workshop is confirmed. It's on the 26th in Hinckley. That one is going to be about finding your flow and learning how to have spiritual experiences through dance and play and joy and all that fun kind of stuff. So, bye-bye.